Tag TV and Tag Radio. Be seen and heard by both technology users and technology producers throughout the state of Georgia and around the world. Low cost, big benefits, powerhouse online branded video and audio has arrived. Tag TV, Tag Radio, there's a lot more to know. This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by GlobalSpeak.com, new media consultants, corporate video and audio communications, video and audio production and distribution, live and virtual event production. Tag TV and Tag Radio is a service of GlobalSpeak.com, creatively delivering powerful marketing, video, and audio solutions. Click. Ah, the sound of a light bulb that just went on. You know the sound. You've heard it before. It's that idea that you've been losing sleep over. You know, the one that's driving you to just do it. Knowledge, persuasion, decision, implementation, and then confirmation. Is it the fear of rejection that's stopping you, or the fear of acceptance? From napkin to concept to company, and the reactions, experience, and, well, benefits for early adopters of an innovation. Greetings, everyone. It's Tuesday, February 22nd, 2011, and this is Tech Talk with Technology Association of Georgia President Tino Mantella. I'm your guest host, Frank Baia. With the deadline for application today, the time to act is right now. If you have an idea, company, or concept worthy of winning the 2011 Technology Association Georgia Research Alliance Business Launch Competition, $50,000 in cash and $150,000 in services, all ripe and ready to back the next big idea, enterprise, or venture. It's a call to all entrepreneurs, those heroes who stand up and are accountable for the inherent risk and are ready to accept the glorious potential outcome. Up to the Tech Talk on napkins, concepts, and building a startup company to fast-paced growth and glory, Joe Gruca, President and CEO of Toomah, the 2010 Tag GRA launch winners of $50,000 and a couple of $100,000 more in service provider goodies. Toomah is an innovative interview management company which automates early phone screens and provides analytics and language assessment tools for high-volume hiring environments. Joe brings over 25 years of sales, leadership, and executive management experience in enterprise software, information technology, and telecommunications with companies like Computer Associates, Global Crossing, and Ingram Micro. The Technology Association Georgia Research Alliance Business Launch Competition application deadline is today. The result from winning could last a lifetime. See for yourself as we go inside the 2010 winner's quest for success with Toomah President and CEO Joe Gruca. Well, Joe, welcome to Tech Talk.
Hey, Frank. Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Boy, I tell you what, fast track, things are really hopping over at Toomah. Let's start out, I think for our members in our audience, there's certainly a lot of entrepreneurs that are out there trying to work hard and build their ideas and concepts. Some of them are executives who would like to do that. Let's talk a little bit about the whole concept of building a business in Atlanta, technology business in Atlanta, and especially one where you're going from napkin to concept to company.
Sure. I'd be glad to. So I guess would you like me to try to fill you in on kind of what our wild ride has been like thus far?
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
Well, we really began this thing, and full credit goes to the two original founders, Jay Foreman and Rob Foreman. They're actually two cousins that started the company, about a year and a half, 2 years or so ago. And they're the guys that had the original idea around our business opportunity. I was fortunate to become involved with those guys about a year and a half ago, and to your point, it's been just a crazy ride, kind of going from, hey, this sounds like a really cool idea, to trying to, carve out a business strategy, carve out a product strategy, try to get your first customers, try to raise some funds to allow you to do the things you want to do, all the way up to kind of winning the tag contest last year, tag GRA contest this past year, and now really knee-deep in trying to do two things, sell more to as many customers as we can, and try to complete our Series A round of fundraising. So it has been absolutely a wild ride over the last 18 months or so, Frank.
Well, and, of course, the last 18 months are historic. Back in the day, they used to talk about the Civil War as the recent unpleasantry, and I would think that the economy being the way it is, building a business or starting a business over the last 18 months had to add a little extra challenge to the situation. Go ahead.
Yeah, as if it weren't enough for the faint of heart to try to go do it. You're exactly right. To do it in that climate always adds another interesting dimension to the process.
Well, talk a little bit about that. I mean, how did you keep your I guess enthusiasm going? I mean, the struggle of just a startup and dealing with a lot of trials and I'm sure a lot of people who thought you were great and a lot of people who didn't necessarily support you, and then on top of that to have the economic conditions kind of going south on you right at the same time you were doing it.
Yeah, truth be known, Frank, as much as, you just feel terrible for what many people are going through nowadays and trying to kind of find a job and being displaced and out of work, the truth of the matter is in some ways, created a business opportunity for us. So much of what we do from a solution offering is we help our customers who are hiring candidates find those really, really great candidates more effectively and more efficiently and hire great people faster. And unfortunately, the challenge that many employers have today is when they do post for a job or try to fill a position, they're just inundated with really great candidates. So while it's unfortunate there's not a lot of opportunities for those folks that are out looking for work, from an employer perspective, it actually created an opportunity for us to help them more effectively and, again, more efficiently get to those really, really great candidates from that huge stack of resumes and applicants that they might have.
We were talking to a human resource executive, and it was ironic because he was saying exactly the same thing. It isn't necessarily the real challenge isn't really finding a job. It can actually be finding a proper employee for the job that you've got. And let's talk a little bit about that, though. I mean, obviously, we can kind of segue right into what Toomah does. Talk a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about exactly what solution is it providing.
Yeah, and, I think just as many entrepreneurs and many startup companies kind of go through, our original target market and where we are focused today has changed a little bit over the period of the last 12 to 18 months. And really today where we are, the market that we've kind of landed on from a focus perspective is specifically in the call center space. Mm-hmm. And the dynamic you see there is that it's an industry that's kind of fraught with turnover. So the big pain that they experience is that they're just constantly finding themselves in an environment where they're trying to interview candidates and select really good call center candidates. So we've created a series of tools, modules, if you will, to help do a better job to more efficiently do phone screening around all of those candidates and then do really strong language assessments and communication assessments to make sure that by the time they hire that call center individual, they've been fully vetted from a communication, language skills, and then an early phone screening process.
We hear a lot about disruptive technologies, and it seems like the magic of having that, something that disrupts, that everybody wants it. But I guess you would say that it also has a challenge to it as well because you're going counter to the culture. So the reality of the experience, and right or wrong now, you tell me, is that you had to really not just simply say, hey, we've got this capability, and it actually does something and really does it effectively well. You had to deal with, but we don't really understand that, or we're not used to dealing with it, or did they embrace it right away?
Yeah, no, it's really an astute observation on your part, Frank. We like to tell the story that there aren't many people in the call center industry that are going out to Google and saying, gosh, I really think I need an automated interview tool. Mm-hmm. It's just, it's very much a disruptive technology. It's very, nobody's out really looking for that kind of thing. So, in effect, one of the bigger challenges that we've faced is creating a market, helping the market to understand that this is a solution that they may not have ever heard of, but why is it important and why is there value and why should they spend money, kind of to some of the earlier comments, in very tough economic times when budget dollars are tight, why should they spend that money and how do they recognize value in return for that investment? I
really think that's one of the bigger challenges of any startup. You think we hear that cliche about magic sauce. You think you've got the ultimate answer. I used to joke and talk about cocoon, that saying in there that says you never get old, you never get sick, and you never die. You give that presentation to a prospect, and they go, well, let me get back to you on that. I need to think about it. You think, what? I just gave you the ultimate solution. How could you possibly not have to think about it? Can you share with us what you're doing in that space, or is that something that you want to kind of keep close to the vest as far as how are you going about breaking through the clutter? I guess another cliche is you can buy a market or earn a market, and certainly in this day and age, I don't think there's enough money to buy a market anymore, no matter how much money you have to spend in advertising or marketing.
Yeah, there really isn't, because we don't have a huge marketing budget and we've got a very small sales team. So much of what we've had to do right now is just good old-fashioned, just, great selling. So we've been blessed. We found a person early on who she does a great job of of just, pounding the phone in a very professional way to create appointments for us. And really the good news from our perspective is, while it is disruptive and new technology, it's pretty compelling. So when we can get a client to allow us to do a demo for them, it kind of pops for them. I think the value prop becomes instantly apparent to them, and they go, wow, I can really see how I can just become so much more effective and efficient. So when we can get to that demo stage, we oftentimes then are able to get our customer to engage in a trial, and then, when we finally get to that point in the sales process, our sales close ratios have been pretty good. So it's a tough process to get to that point to actually get the demos.
And in this day and age, cold calling and getting in front of people and being able to get to the demo, that's a whole other industry within itself. I think, one of the things that you hear a lot is that people want to know, is it going to make me money or is it going to save me money? And I'm guessing in this case it's a combination of both, because it's an efficient product that saves them money in terms of qualifying better resources quicker, and then the other side, it makes you money because you're putting top notchers at the front of the at the cutting edge where the business is being done.
Yeah, very, very true. When as hard as this process has been, I wouldn't change a thing. It's because we've had to just kind of go through this in painstaking, detail. I think the benefit to us is we've really, really perfected kind of what our messaging is and what our value prop is, so that now that we do have a couple of bucks to spend to enhance our marketing efforts, I just think it'll be that much more effective having to go through all of the trials and tribulations to get to this point.
Well, talking about some bucks to spend, I guess you'd mentioned earlier about the Technology Association of Georgia and the Georgia Research Alliance, the TAG GRA Business Launch competition, which you guys were winners of. Let's talk a little bit about that. Tell us about that process. How did you and your team get involved and enter the contest, and how did you advance to the various stages?
Yeah, that's really we probably don't have enough time on this interview today, but I give full credit to first the ATDC and a gentleman by the name of David Sung, who at the time was with ATDC and first introduced us to the contest, to the competition. We entered our submission. Had to work really, really hard to kind of keep working through and advancing through from entrance to semifinalist to finalist to ultimate winner. But gosh, Frank, it has meant so much to us for so many different reasons. Everything from validation of the business model to using that to leverage to get more customer appointments and close our first deals, all the way to it's oftentimes one of the first lines we use when we try to get in front of potential investors. So I just can't even express just how much winning that competition has meant to us over the last 6 or 8 months or so.
Well, obviously the deadline is approaching. I think we're right up on it. You got any advice that you'd offer companies that are considering entering or have entered this year's competition?
Yeah, I'd offer 2 pieces of advice. First, if you are a startup company here in Georgia and you have not entered, I mean it. I know it's a lot of work and it's you're trying to operationalize the business, but take a moment to breathe and enter the contest, because boy, if you can make it through that process, the payback at the end of this thing is just tremendous. And for those companies that have entered, I would say, if I could give any advice, honest to goodness, it's what you get out of it, what you put into it. So take advantage of every mentor opportunity you've got. Take advantage of every presentation you give to semifinalists and things. It'll be a lot of work. Make no mistake about it. It will be a lot of work. But if you put that work into it, and you're fortunate enough even to get to the finalist stage, it's just the reward for those companies that make it that far, as a guy that's been there, are just absolutely tremendous, invaluable to us in particular.
Well, just between you and me now, no one else listening, any of our audience,
good,
but
good.
Exactly how did you invest the cash prize?
Well, truthfully,
the bit, show me the money. How much money was involved?
So we won almost $300,000 in services, and I think we should talk about that, because we are very indebted to those service providers that did that. But specifically, the cash prize that we won, which was $50,000, went directly into hiring people. So we hired a development resource and we hired a sales resource. Now, admittedly, it didn't fund both of those 2 positions, but we would not have been able to add those 2 people to our organization if it weren't for the $50,000 in cash that we were awarded as a result of winning the prize.
Well, and you mentioned the service providers. Unfortunately, we're running quickly out of time, but certainly an incredible suite of services that were provided. I know that as you're commenting, we're talking a couple of $100,000, almost $250,000 worth of actual services that were rendered. That had to be incredibly impactful. We're talking about the GRA Business Launch competition. If you haven't already entered, I think you're right at the deadline, so you need to act now. If you have entered, obviously, best of luck, and especially coming from someone who's actually been there, done that kind of a thing. Joe and his guys are living proof of how important that situation really is. I got to tell you, Joe, it's been such a pleasure watching you guys, as I've commented to you before, grow from napkin to concept to company, and to see it continuously succeed. I think you represent a model for a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs and a lot of visionaries and dreamers who are out there who want to start their own business and make something happen. So unfortunately, we're running short on time, but Joe, thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy schedule for joining us today on Tech Talk.
Well, thank you so much, Frank, and thank you once again to the whole TAG GRA team. It's been a pleasure to be a part of this process.